Hello, welcome to our Gallup Strengths Assessment overview, and it's sponsored by Simple Oil Living, which is our global resource group for essential oils. And I am Stacy Paulson, and I'm a certified health coach, a doterra Blue Diamond wellness advocate, as well as an MBA, and I'm a certified Gallup Strengths coach. And I absolutely love the Strengths Assessment. When I first took it about 10 years ago, I was floored by how accurate it was. And after I took the assessment, I didn't do a whole lot with it other than think it was cool. And then I came back around to it. Maybe there's a little bit more to this, and I need to learn more about it and how it can be implemented into my life to get, better results with the things that I was focused on within my life, whether that was in my business, with my health, just goals that I had or challenges that I faced. And I discovered just a whole amazing world of tools that are just readily available to us and within us. And so the Gallup Strengths Assessment is a great opportunity to get to know yourself better and also learn how to use them. So this video will be kind of an overview, and know that there'll be a more specific training once you take the assessment. But what happened was Don Clifton, he was really the founder of this strengths movement. And he wondered what would happen if we started studying what was right with people rather than fixating on what was wrong with them. And we think about, even in our public education or as parents, when a report card comes home and it might be all really good grades, and then you have one that isn't as good as the others. I mean, even if it was straight A's and there's an A minus, oftentimes it's the one that's lower that gets the attention. And he wondered, well, what if we started just more studying about what's right and what people are doing well and enjoying and thriving at naturally? What would happen? And if we put more energy into that? And so the agenda that we're going to go through is, the intention of this is that you will be able to take the information that you have and then go take the assessment. And then once you take the assessment, there will be a short training of how to use it to live a life of excellence, to be able to use things that you are innately within you to get better results, to thrive, whether that's with nutrition, whether that's with relationships, or just goals that you have, financial freedom, anything you can use your strengths with. And so really my intention is to impart some of the information and knowledge that I have and some stories that I think you'll find fascinating. And then be able to help you learn how to focus on your strengths and then how to take the assessment. So the strengths assessment, the intentions of that really are to help you to see how you are uniquely you. With the assessment, that there's a 1 in 33 million chance that somebody else on this planet has the same top 5 strengths in the same order as you do. So that just says how unique you are and how that you have superpowers that you can use. So I want you to be able to come away from this with an excitement to take the assessment and to discover more about yourself so that you can use that for good. Now, my top strengths are, and if you haven't heard anything about it, you'll have no idea what these are, but you'll learn about them, especially if any of these are your top strengths. You'll be able to learn more about them. Is achiever, relator, focused, futuristic, activator. You can go ahead and read those. And I have 6 fabulous children and a great husband, and we are all so different. Even though I've raised my kids very similar, they are all so different, and they all have different strengths. And I want to share an example of how the strengths have played out in my life in probably one of the earlier moments that I can remember very specifically, a success that I had when I was in high school. So when I was in 8th grade, before I went into high school in 9th grade, our school would have us walk across the street to North Summit High School and attend the awards assembly at the end of the year. And in this awards assembly, there was this girl, Jennifer, who kept getting up for these different awards, whether it was academic or for specific classes or for sports. And she was valedictorian, and I just kept seeing this. And I thought, wow, you know what? I'm going to be Jennifer Jones when I graduate. So at that award assembly, that I'm going up and I'm getting all these awards. And so throughout my 4 years of high school, I did the things that I needed to do in order to do well, to get straight A's, to basically recreate what I had seen 4 years previously by this Jennifer. And how did I accomplish that? I didn't really know at the time, but I was really playing to some of the strengths that I naturally had within me. So the first one is there as achiever. And for me, what that means is that I love to get things done through like marking off boxes, having a to-do list, feeling like every day I've accomplished something meaningful. And that could be cleaning the house, cleaning my room. That could be just getting all the things done that were on my to-do list. And I found that I just worked really well with that. And so as a student, that's what I was doing, that I always had these lists of things that I needed to get done, and then I would just plug away at them. In addition, I had, if you look there, futuristic, that's where you can visualize the future. You have a very clear vision of what the future could hold. And so when I was watching Jennifer get up and get all of these different awards, it just played to my strength of seeing that future and seeing myself in that future. And it was a really easy thing for me to do, where others were in that same awards assembly and maybe didn't have that strength. And so they didn't get the same thing out of it. But it was very clear to me that this is something that I could do. And then also activate and self-assurance. If you look below there, self-assurance is kind of a self-confidence. Not that you're awesome or amazing or better than anyone else, but you'll figure it out. Like that you're capable of doing things and figuring things out. If somebody else did it, it's probably possible for you to do it. It's just a self-confidence that comes naturally. And I didn't know that. And then in addition to that, activator is one that gets going on something. So as soon as I saw that, I started devising a plan because I wanted to get going on this idea of doing well. And learner is another way that I think strategically. And it plays to being in public school because I loved learning. So just the different classes and the different things that I was taking, books that I was reading, I just enjoyed the process of learning. So it played to one of my strengths. And then focus is where I can eliminate all distractions. When I would get home from practice after school, I would lock myself in my room and I would have this like tunnel vision as far as getting the things done that I needed to, studying, reading. I just had this tunnel vision. And these were all things that naturally came to me as I was employing them. It wasn't hard. I don't remember this being a really big struggle, but it was a huge success. And it was really the first that I've been able to tie back to seeing some of these natural strengths. And so it's really exciting to be able to take the assessment and then look at some of the past successes that you've had and pull out the strengths that you were using to create that success. And that can give you clues of how your strengths work for you. Now, people who focus on using their strengths, they've shown that they are 3 times more likely to report having an excellent quality of life. And that's why I think this is so important when we're implementing the Cleanse program, as we're trying to transform our lives and just live better, that if we're playing to our strengths, we will naturally have a more excellent life. Now, using our strengths, really, these are some of the other benefits that come when we are doing things through strengths-based instead of focusing on weaknesses, which we'll get in a minute. It helps people to make better choices in their life, improve their performance, increase productivity, increase self-confidence. Who doesn't want that? And not just for ourselves, but our families. I've had my spouse and children take the assessment, and it's been invaluable for them to learn about what they do naturally well. And you can read through the rest of those. And just to give you an idea of this idea of focusing on our strengths is, if you want to pause this and do this as a little challenge for yourself, you could do it. But what we do in some of the workshops that I do is we have people take their non-dominant hand and then they need to write their signature 10 times and just see how quickly they can write their signature. And pretty much it's awkward, right? If you're right-handed and you're trying to write with your left hand, it's gonna be awkward, or vice versa, and it's not gonna look very good. Now, if I tell you to do the same thing with your right hand, if you just go ahead and write your signature with your right hand, which you've been doing, or your dominant hand, which you've been doing for years, it just comes very natural and easy, and you can do it quickly. And so that's the idea with strengths, like how we naturally feel, think, and behave. If we are using kind of, in a sense, our dominant hand, how we just naturally do things, it will come easier, more quickly. We will see greater improvements faster. And there's been a lot of studies on this. And so just knowing that that's what this is about, is just finding the things that you naturally do well and using them instead of focusing so much on our weaknesses. Like I said, 1 in 33 million that you have the same top 10. This is my daughter's profile, who's 15. Her number one is competition, then strategic, include, maximize, or command. And I always thought, like, competition is bad, you know, it's like about prideful and you don't think about people. But what I've discovered is that competition is a way that you can influence other people. My daughter is very competitive, but she's also very compassionate and wants to include other people. They seem kind of like counter each other, but she's a very loving and giving person, but she's also very competitive. And what happens is she influences others around her to do better. And so it's a great way of influencing people, the strength that she has. And recognizing what strengths do you have that that can play to doing better in life. This is my son here. If you can see, he's number 3150, and I don't know if you can see up here on this board, but he's a runner. Caleb ran the mile in 4 minutes and 23 seconds. And this was at the end of his junior year. He was coming into his senior year, just really on par to break some records and do really, really well. He had gone to some big races out of state and was just thriving, working really, really well. And in a freak accident in practice, he fell, hit his knee on the concrete, and he tore his PCL, which is a ligament in your knee that helps with stability. So it basically put him out of the season. You can see him here at another race in Boise, Idaho, that he was not running in, but he was there to support his team. But his top 3 strengths are adaptability, maximizer, and relator. Adaptability is you go with the flow. And for him to be able to navigate and deal with this tragic event that he was in the middle of being recruited by Division I colleges, that without this strength as his number one, this is something that he pulled on, that he was able to naturally navigate this hard experience because he naturally just goes with the flow. Okay, that's fine. We'll go up and I will support my team. Number 3 is a relator, and that's where he has really strong, deep relationships with people. And so he's going to be there to support his team. And maximizer is how he influences people. He likes to take what's great or good and make it great. And so that was part of, going up there and supporting his team, which is a great team, and helping support them so they can do even better. And he was able to focus his energies in that capacity. And it became a really great experience for him. He was still recruited by a Division I college, and he's going to be able to run and kind of work through this physically, but even more important, emotionally, through this challenge. So not only can our strengths help us to achieve our goals, it can help us to navigate challenges and setbacks that come up in our life, which happen as we're, living. So everyone has talents, and it's just really a natural way that we think, feel, and behave. And we're giving some language or vocabulary around it so that we can talk about it, so we can help better develop these talents into strengths. And most of us have been put into situations where it's more of a weakness fixing. And these really aren't the right assumptions, and these assumptions are that all behaviors can be learned. If you try hard enough, you can do it. If you want it badly enough, you can do it. And I found that that's absolutely not true. Like, there have been things that, like with nutrition or trying to lose weight or get in shape or change certain habits or overcome certain sugar addictions, that this just was not true. Like trying to fix my weakness. And so this is kind of the concept that most of us are familiar with, is that we're going to try to fix our weaknesses. We're going to try to bring that C up to an A instead of thriving on, wow, I'm really good at math. I don't care that I'm not so good at English. I'm going to focus on math. So weakness versus strengths, these are just some quotes that or things that we've probably heard of. Guided by belief that good is the opposite of bad, mankind has for centuries pursued its fixation with fault and failing, right? And think about it. Doctors study disease in order to learn about health. Psychologists have investigated sadness in order to learn about joy. I don't know that that's really the best way to to learn about joy or learn about health or to learn about happy marriages is by studying the bad ones. Yes, there are things to learn there, but I think there's far more things that we can learn by the great examples, the things that we do naturally well, the A's that you're seeing on those report cards. Like those give us valuable clues into things that we could thrive at. So the idea with strengths building are these assumptions that some behaviors are learned. Yes, there are certain skills that we can learn and knowledge that we can gain that can create a big impact. And the best in a role can deliver the same outcomes but use different behaviors. So you might get the same. So maybe there's a program that you can lose 10 pounds, right? But how you get there could be different. Right? So somebody might get there because they're very disciplined, and somebody else might get there because, for instance, for myself, I'm an achiever. And if I have a list of things I'm supposed to do, I just follow the list because I love that. I love marking off the boxes, and that's my motivation behind it. I can get the same result. I'm just going to get there differently. And then building strengths includes talents. So talents, again, are a naturally occurring reoccurring pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. And think about like all of the greats that you see out there. For instance, Tiger Woods, he had natural talent, and then he put in effort in increasing his skills and his knowledge and gaining experience. But because he put that effort or that investment into something that he already naturally did well, you saw tremendous growth and success. Versus if he were focusing on maybe his mom wanted him to play the piano and it wasn't coming so naturally, but golf was coming more naturally. So she's like, don't work so much on golf. You already got that. Why don't you focus on playing the piano better? Because you're not doing so well at that. Just imagine the outcome that would have come from that if he had been focusing on weakness fixing instead of strengths building. And that's to say anyone that does things great. And you don't have to be world famous for that. It could just be people that you know that you think, man, they do that really well. It's probably because they found something that they naturally were good at and they put effort into it. So the Gallup Strengths Assessment helps us discover, and these are 4 different domains. The first one being how you get things done, how you build relationships, how you influence others, and then how you think strategically. And this can be applied to anything, but speaking specifically about nutrition, like how do you get things done? How do you, if you're following a program, how do you get that done? Or how do you prepare your meals? Building relationships, if those are within your top 5 relationship building, that, for instance, with me, one of my top strengths is relator. And if I will program in something into my day that has to do with people that I have strong relationships with, I'm more likely to do certain things. For instance, if I'm wanting to train for a marathon, which I'm doing, I will do better if I'm doing it with people that I'm really close to. And I've done this before with a group of people that were kind of random. I didn't know them very well, not very close relationships, super not motivating to me because I didn't know them very well. But when I'm training now with people that I'm really close to and I don't want to let them down, really big difference as far as my training, as well as if I know that I'm an achiever and I need a list of things and I need a specific training regimen. So every day I have specific things that I do and I just follow that. And I did that with triathlons. It was super easy because I knew what my strengths were and how I was more motivated to get things done. And also with the building relationships, how do I influence other people? If that's important in your family or in situations, how can I use my strengths to influence others? The assessment will help you know how. And then how do you think strategically? So one of my strengths is learner. I love learning. That's a strategic thinking theme. And so generally I'm one to go to books or go onto Google to learn stuff. Like I don't have to be like coached one-on-one individually. I love just going to the books or studying the material that's already there and learning and gathering my information. So if I'm doing this marathon, that's what I'm doing. I'm grabbing a book and getting the plans, and that's how I would thrive. You are different. So depending on what your goals are and what you want to accomplish, you can pull from your strengths to create the program, whatever it is, that plays to your strengths so that you can accomplish the thing that you want to, and not do it how your sister did it, who was successful, because she's probably a whole lot different than you. And so over 20 million people have taken this assessment, and you will, generally, most people will start with just getting their top 5, so it's not overwhelming, but there are 34 different themes that you can unlock all of them. So you know which are your top ones, the ones that you use most frequently. And then you can also learn what your bottom ones are, ones that you don't hardly use. You're capable of them, but you don't use them maybe that often. And it just can give really powerful insights as far as how to create success. This is just a random list of all of the 34, and you'll learn more about them. And what people generally do is, I recommend that you learn about, after you get your top 5, you learn what those 5 are, and you come to love them. You look at past successes that you've had. How have you used those strengths to create that success or to overcome that challenge? So you really learn to love them, and it builds your love for yourself. I love this. I love when I see people that I coach, just the light bulb goes on. I'm like, I am amazing. I don't have to be like so-and-so to be amazing, but I'm amazing in my own way. And then how can you live it in a way that you can get the results that you want? Like strategically and intentionally use your strengths to get results. And so that's what you'll learn in the next training. But how do you take the assessment? You go to GallupStrengthsCenter.com, and you'll find on there's an option that you can just get the top 5, or if you want to pay a little bit more, you can get all 34. I recommend eventually getting all 34, but then you just use the code that you get and be able to take the assessment. It takes about 20 to 40 minutes, just depends on how quickly you read, but it's not too long. And then it will give you a report. And once you get that report, then you'll want to go through the next training to help you to learn how to use it so that you can thrive through your strengths.